You guys have already seen me dropping trees, cutting stuff down, limbing and all that. We're going to be doing plenty of that this weekend also. But we've got to get this cleared out, get our logs limbed off, ready to go. Get back down that way and just keep cutting. But I thought today I'd show you guys a little bit of what it takes to make one of these videos, what I like to carry into the woods with me. And it is much different than what I would use in the shop at home when we do our blacksmithing videos or our timber framing stuff. It'll be a lot different. So this little box right here on the front of the four-wheeler is a very expensive little box. Between the 3 saws and the camera gear in there, if I had to guess, I'd probably say there's close to $3,000 or $4,000 worth of stuff sitting right in that little box right there. So let's dig into what we have. Now we're going to do a lot of handheld here just because it's a little bit easier for me to move around and talk at the same time. So I finally swapped back over to the long bar on my one saw. If I can get it out of here, there we go. So this is our 372 XP. Had a viewer on the last video, or the video before, his last video, told me it looked like a 455 Rancher. But no, that is a 372 XP, 71cc saw, and so on. Next saw up is our little lemon buddy. Nice for small branches. This is a little 50cc John Sered. And of course my ever trusty, ever faithful 12-year-old Dolmar 6400. Dolmar 6400 is a beautiful saw, but it's quite heavy. If I can hold the camera right, maybe you guys will be able to watch this. But it's quite heavy for the power of it. So there's our 3 ladies. So the bigger saw, 28-inch bar, and I'll explain why that's kind of nice to have. The 64cc saw, 20-inch bar. Then our little 50cc is going to be an 18-inch bar. Moving on back to the box. So it's amazing how much you can fit in these things. So we have a gel pack battery. I finally brought one up. Actually, a friend of mine gave me this, and I have a solar setup back in the truck for charging it. So it's a 35 amp hour gel pack battery. That's what we're going to use to run our winch. Big thing when you're trying to get good shots out in the woods is this is all our GoPro mount stuff. You can get these pretty cheap for about 30 bucks on Scamazon. Not too bad. No need to buy the really expensive GoPro stuff. The other thing that we carry, and we have not done this in a long time, but I'm not doing my videos any justice not carrying it, is going to be our drone. This is a DJI Spark. It's about 500 bucks when I bought it. It's perfect for small YouTube creators. A lot of people are into the Mavics and the Mavic Pros and all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, but for my money, I'm perfectly happy with that. All right, carrying on, of course, gas, bar oil. Now, I brought a drill and some drill bits because I want to modify that log arch a little bit because I'm not happy with something. This is a little landing pad for the drone. It's kind of nice so you're not stirring up dirt and getting it into the drone when you're taking off with it. There's various tape measures, regular tape, my regular glasses, logger tape. These are so handy. This is called the original logger's tape. How original, huh? But these guys are worth their weight in gold when you're bucking timber up in the woods. And of course, my cheap Fisker's axe. Now, I am surprised. I would have figured that the comments would have blown up about this Fisker's axe. I've had this thing for years, and I like it because the handle's pretty much indestructible. And I pretty much just use it for driving wedges and knocking off sucker branches off of the trees. It's actually a small splitting axe, but it works great for what I do. And of course, chainsaw tools. Bunch of extra chains. I have about 6 more chains in the truck. Chargers. Now this is kind of a must-have if you're filming remote. This is a little solar charger. I can charge the GoPro batteries with it, my phone, all that good stuff. Not that phones work up here, but it's good to have the option. Falling wedges, I finally had to buy some new ones. These are made in the USA. 6-pack of them for like 30 bucks. They're not bad. They work just fine. Obviously chaps. Extra bar. I'd like to carry an extra bar in case I get something pinched. I have it times before. Had to take the power head off of a saw, put a new bar on it because something moved unexpectedly. It's kind of always one of those be prepared deals. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the gear that we are carrying in. And it's a good time. Now this weekend, I am totally solo. I'm fairly comfortable with it, but that means that we have to be extra careful. We definitely have to make sure we're wearing our chaps, all that good stuff, and I'm pretty much going to be bucking logs. But I'll tell you what, trees can be dangerous to drop. They can be dangerous to take down, especially places like this where there's a lot of stuff to hang on. You have a lot of leaners, a lot of odd-shaped trees. But I have always found that the biggest danger cutting in the woods, for me anyway, and the only time I've ever experienced a kickback in almost 25 years of doing this kind of thing, it was lemon. And you see all those branches on this tree right here. You see how tight they are. And I know it's kind of bright, but these branches are super tight. We got to get them off of here. But when they're that close together and you're coming up with your saw, it is super easy to hit the nose of that bar where you don't want it to, and that's when you're going to get your kickback. Now, I'm big on making sure my chain brakes are always in working order. And my chain brakes, you can set them by hand, but they're also inertia driven. So if they hit just right with a kickback, it should engage the chain brake, but don't trust it. Trust yourself to cut right, and you'll feel a lot better about life. Now, one of my favorite GoPro mounts, especially running chainsaws, and I finally got this kit. I got a new kit because a lot of the stuff, GoPro stuff, ends up getting broken up because of the conditions you're using them in. But anyway, let's get you set up here. I'm going to leave that in. That little movement right there, just taking a minute just to set the camera up. You wouldn't believe how much time that takes when you're doing this stuff. It is not, it makes, making the videos definitely makes everything take a little longer. But you kind of have to have the mentality to expect it. And it's not so bad. But, you know, just setting up stuff like this, clumsy with the fingers, of course. Setting up little stuff like this can take, if I don't drop it all, oh yeah, let's do it the smart way, huh? It's little stuff like this that really, it slows your production time down when you're trying to get stuff done. But if you're a YouTube guy or gal or whatever you happen to be, if you're like Mike Hagdahl and you're still not sure, it takes a little time to set this stuff up. And you got to remember too, a lot of times when you're trying to make these videos, you're trying to make it so people aren't really seeing the camera gear that you're using in the video. So what I'll do is I'll get a few cuts with this, and then before I move to a shot where we get out away from the saw so you can see my whole body and everything I'm doing, you end up stopping, shutting the saw down, taking the mount off, putting it in a different position, or using something totally different. Even if you're using a different camera, you try to do that just because, you know, you don't want people to see this in your shot. And it's little stuff. Little stuff that definitely makes things take a little more time. Now, I've been only using the GoPro that I'm filming on right now up here And the new GoPros are so versatile. I mean, they're insanely versatile. This is a GoPro Hero 7, and I chose it over the 9 just because I like some of the features on it quite a bit better. And I don't know, I just like it a little better. Alright, now since I only have the one camera right now, we're going to mount you guys on this. So we end up dropping the camera. Take it off our Gorilla Pod. And we're going to mount it up. Now, all I want to get in this shot pretty much is just the bar. I don't want to get the chain break in there. I pretty much want you guys just to be able to see that bar hitting the wood and see what the chain's doing. And that's the big thing. Now, when you're mounting up the stuff that has this much vibration, you really have to tighten everything down well. Otherwise, it's just going to vibrate the crap out of you. So, let's get a few cuts with this, and I'll show you what kind of footage we get out of this thing. All right, here we go. See what happens here. The shot we wanted out of that. Now we take it all apart. Now I just shot about an 8-minute clip there, and chances are about 30 seconds of it's going to make it into the video. And that but that's what you're doing. I mean, when you're making these videos, you're trying to tell a story visually, and for a lot of us who don't have training or experience in it, we're learning as you go. I mean, for those of you who are new here, I've put out over 600 videos on this channel since we've started. I've been doing it 4 years now, 4.5, and it is a continual learning game. You're always trying to do it better. You know, I've made some good friends in the YouTube community, some larger creators, some smaller ones, and some of the best advice I've gotten has come from guys like Dave Whipple from Bush Radical. You know, he says, cut your footage up. He takes a lot of close-in shots. He does a lot of different stuff. He's constantly moving the camera, constantly cutting the shot. And that's kind of what you're trying to do. I mean, the average attention span of most people's pretty short. So you're trying to hold that attention. And I found over the years, just doing a bunch of static shots, that doesn't always work out the way you want it to when it comes to keeping people engaged in what you're doing. So when I get to logs like this, you know, you're always trying to find new ways to show your story and make it watchable, and you're always trying to do different stuff. Now, there's where the solar charger comes in handy for the GoPro. Very handy. So you're always trying to just, okay, how can I get a better shot here? How can I make this look cool? I mean, all of us out here who do these videos, we're trying to make something pretty mundane, a lot of times pretty boring, look spectacular. And for most people have seen enough trees cut down and enough firewood blocked up that it's nothing new for them. But if you could take people like that it isn't new for them, and get them to watch what you're doing, the only way you're going to do that is by trying to get decent footage on stuff. Now, here's something we didn't cover in the last video. I showed you the carpenter ants. So we've got to get up past that because I do not want any carpenter ants in my barn. See where you have some holes right there. And you can see where the woodpeckers got after it. A lot of times you see woodpecker holes low in a tree. Usually you got a big nest of carpenter ants in there, at least up here in the northeast. So this tree, it's a nice long one, but there's quite a taper on this one. We're going to try to get past that spot as best we can, and then we'll measure our logs out. So when I'm setting up for the measuring shot, a lot of times I'll move the camera kind of far away so you can see the whole thing. But today we're going to try just setting this GoPro on the log. And hopefully we don't knock anything down in the process while we're doing it. There, look at that. But first, let's try to get this past. Well, that works. Look at that right in front of you. Multiple cameras are awesome when you have them, and I do have them, but I've kind of gotten to where I like this GoPro so much that I like to carry this in the woods more than any of them. And that's more just a matter of it's waterproof, they're tough, they're very durable. So this shot, I want to get you guys kind of a close-up of the bar, let you guys kind of see what's able to go on, or what's going on. Geez, can't talk. See, trying to do 20 things at once. So I'll set my axe kind of where that chainsaw bar is going to be, and I'll frame the shot that way. Because when I set the camera up, I kind of want that axe to be centered in it. And if you're using a GoPro, these little Joby pods, or Joby little tripods, are pretty nice. Now, I've always liked things kind of centered in the shots. And when you're filming alone, you kind of have to be creative a little bit. So we have our axe set up. When we fire the saw up, we're going to be pretty well, fairly centered in the shot. Love my 372. All right. So what just took us, so I'll give you a time frame, kind of an idea of how this takes us so much longer. So the limbing shot we just did previously, I filmed for about 8 minutes on that one. And that's not a big deal. Setup time was a few minutes, couple minutes on it. This shot right here, I probably took 2-3 minutes just to move the camera around. And then, 30 seconds, if that, to make the cut. So it does slow you down. It does make things take longer. So what I find myself doing a little bit more these days is getting a bunch done, planning my shots out. You know, I kind of know before I start the video what I want to get for camera shots, how I want the feel of the video to be. Do I want it to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek? Do I want it to be a little more dramatic and serious? And I know I'm sounding like a goofball here, like some, I don't know, some big wannabe Hollywood producer or something, but that's not the case. It's always just such a cool learning experience, trying to make your stuff better, get better at it, make them more watchable. I mean, if I can't sit there and watch my own video, I don't expect anybody else to want to be able to either. But, so we're going to carry on. So what I'm going to do now, we've got the first cut. I'm just going to hit the rest of this log up. I'm going to turn the camera off, try to make a little time here, and we'll come back when we get to the next interesting tidbits. All right, everybody, there's a brief look into kind of what goes into making some of these videos. Now, I've actually, believe it or not, spent a good portion of my day doing that. We've skidded out a bunch of logs so far, but we're going to save a lot of that for the next video. So a lot of people wonder when they watch these videos, especially if you're a channel like mine and you break your processes up into all kinds of different parts. Say you're 10 parts to do one project, and sometimes we've gone way beyond that. But I'm more of a, this channel's used to be more like a daily vlog type thing. So a video diary, pretty much of what's going on and what we're building. As I've gotten away from that a little bit, you know, we put a lot less videos out, but that means the production quality goes up. So when you see it take a month to do a project that should only take a week, that's kind of what I was wanting to demonstrate today with moving the camera around, showing you guys a little bit of what we do just to make these videos. And it's a lot of fun. It's time consuming. It's very time consuming. The editing process is taking me a lot longer than it used to be, but I'm also taking a little bit better quality control in the videos themselves. So basically, when I get home from the weekend here, since I have no computer or anything like that up here, I'll get everything uploaded onto my computer, and I'll probably take 3-4 hours to edit this video for as little as we actually did, 3 or 4 hours. So now that we set up for a lot more shots, it takes that much longer to edit, but it is much more enjoyable to watch the finished product and know that's a lot easier to watch. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look into the creative process end of things. Not that we covered a ton, but like I said, it's kind of a hint into what we're doing. So next video out, it'll be tomorrow in terms of, so I'm trying to do 2 videos a weekend while I'm out here. And it's working out pretty well for me. So tomorrow we're going to be probably taking a couple more trees. Going to be skidding more logs for sure. And it's probably going to be a little bit before we're sawmilling again, because I have enough trees down. I want to get the logs out to where I can use them rather than get a bunch on the ground, leave them sitting in the woods for a month and then haul them out one at a time. That's kind of a pain. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.